What up, y'all? Coming at you with another video. I wanted to kind of go over 9 signs that you're texting a narcissist. And you can tell by texting them, you know, right away if they're doing more than just a couple of these. It should be a huge red flag, but any one of these, it's good to keep in mind that it probably is a possibility, at least, that they're a narcissist. Okay, so this would be like in a new relationship, and you don't know them quite, their character yet. So, I mean, the thing with the narcissist, you want to find out right away if you can, so that you can, you know, kind of like leave them. My eye messed up, isn't it? Anyway, so let's see. So the first one would be like that they're cold and hot with you. It's kind of like they may ghost you. Well, they may be like, let's start here. They may be all about you, and they want to know about you, hear about you. Like they're excited about, you know, like talking with you via text, and then all of a sudden, like, they'll ghost. And then they may come back and do that again, where they're getting excited, or just kind of like really much like kind of like aloof, man. It's like you don't know why you're getting all these different characters out of this one person. Typically, if they want to get to know you, they're going to be excited about getting to know you, and that excitement should prevail. But with the narcissist, they may be excited and then get drawn off by like another source of supply or something like that. So you got to look at it like from different points of view. Like, so if they're excited about you, but then they get with another source of supply, and then the other source of supply is enticing them, you know, well, then they're not going to be interested in you right then. But then after that source of supply is over, whatever, maybe they had a one-night stand with them, who knows. But then they may like come back and be interested again, like really interested again, you know. And it could be that the ghosting may occur because they may get off with another source of supply after they were getting excited about you, and they're very impulsive, so they could you know, go off with another source of supply for 2-3 weeks, and then all of a sudden they're back on your radar. All of a sudden it's like, where were you for the last few weeks, you know? So you're kind of like weirded out by it, but you may not, you know, typically if you don't have good boundaries up and you're not aware that there's people out there that actually intentionally do these things, that, you know, I mean, I think you would question some of that, but it's like, it's kind of like they have a way of, you know, when you're an unawoke empath, a lot of times you follow the words, and you may even be aware that the actions kind of don't seem right. But if they're telling you straight to your face, you don't like to believe that people lie like that sometimes, you know. So something to be aware of, and it's something that you're probably weak on in the beginning. So they, you know, become kind of aloof sometimes, you know, and they do this stuff also, like, to make you feel insignificant from time to time, so that they can start, it's almost like devaluing you even in the beginning, even during a trauma bond. I mean, the love bomb, they'll be actually devaluing you in like a sense, like they'll be shading, you know, in the middle of the love bomb phase sometimes. And that's kind of a way you'll see it. Number 2 will be like, you know, like if you look at like political or religious aspects of things, or maybe even like just different topics in life that are kind of in the political arena. They're just topics that we deal with on a daily basis. And so a lot of times when I've noticed, like when they were data mining on me during the love bomb phase, that they would have strict opinions about things. And so, but I mean, you'll get this sometimes over via text. A lot of times when you meet a narcissist, and it's a new relationship with the narcissist, or you're getting to know them, a lot of times they'll do a lot of texting and less conversation over the phone sometimes in the very, very beginning. That's what I've noticed. And then, slowly they will kind of warm themselves up with you to some degree. But it usually starts with texting. And it's probably because they're with somebody else. So, like, while they're getting you on the hook in the very, very beginning, it's like they don't have time for you because they're actually with the partner, and they haven't even, maybe they're in a devalue phase, but they got to get, this thing starts kind of sometimes slow with the narcissist, and then it ramps up real quick. So they're going to have an absolute opinion on things, and like they are like black and white, right? So their construct is to like have no in between. And with them having no in between, there's no gray area or anything, or nobody can have any other opinion outside themselves. I mean, they're like one-way thinkers, like it's their way or the highway most of the time. So it's like, it's kind of like they don't like value your opinion, and they don't want you to have an opinion. So they also want to knock down the fact that, you have an opinion early on. It's part of a getting you trauma bonded and getting you into those coercion. I never could say that right. Coercion. And it's kind of like where you're an extension of them. So you can't be an extension of them if you have your own like values and opinions. They want the values to be, or they don't have values, but they want it to be, they want you to follow their construct of thinking. But I've noticed something about them is that the narcissist is like a herd mentality thinker. Well, they don't think. I mean, well, they think only in evil. So if it's not like an evil like type construct, it's going to be kind of like it's going to be whatever the world or the Matrix or Mystery Babylon is thinking. So it's just going to be whatever the news portrays, and whatever, like is generally speaking what the world is, then that's what they're going to be, and there's going to be no other opinion. So typically, if people are typically all liberals, then they're going to be, if that's generally speaking what the major population of the people are, then they're going to be just liberal. And I mean, a lot of times they won't even know why, but chances are their parents were, and they're just an extension of them. So it's like they don't really have too much of an idea of whatever that they believe. And if you were to dig in, you'll find that sometimes like they can't really talk about it too much without you figuring out that they don't know. They may have an idea, but they don't have too much of too much thought behind it. But generally speaking, if they're of the Matrix, I believe that the Matrix is the hardware, like the buildings and the constructs of like what is presented to the people, generally speaking, the indoctrinations, the brainwashing, and then they're pretty much the software in it. They're the promoters of it because they're a hive mind, in my opinion. That's why they don't change, because it's like almost like they're built into the Matrix. So you'll find that a lot, and they like to argue about stuff like that and get like reactive abuse through that. I mean, especially if they can get you to react to it, because they don't really have too much of an opinion on things. Like as far as they're opinionated, but they're not passionate. So if they can, get you to react about things, then they'll get energy off it. But the next one may be like negging, they call it. Negging is kind of like them giving you a compliment by also like devaluing you or picking at your flaws and being like, so like it's kind of like they'll talk about like maybe the way you look or something like that, or the way that you're acting, and they'll be like it's kind of like they're making fun of you but kind of giving you a compliment. It's kind of like they're devaluing you with a compliment. It's kind of like they'll do it in like a flirting way. And so it's like in a jokingly manner, but chances are if you were to operate that way with them, that they wouldn't be able to handle it, and they would like have an injury and fly off the handle or something, or they would do passively aggressively get you back later. So let's see. So okay, so in texting, this happens a lot, especially when you're new with the narcissist and they haven't got you into their construct yet, completely into their fairy tale. They'll like threaten you a lot, because what'll happen is like you'll offend them and then they'll threaten to leave you or something. Like, I can't believe you think like that. And it could be like straight over text or something. And they get very offended very easily. And you may just be asking them, something like, what are you gonna do today? You're gonna like just chill out and sleep or something. And they'll be like, I don't have time for that. And I'll be working and doing all these things, and be like, they just get offended about very simple things that they shouldn't be getting offended of. It kind of goes with the hot and cold. I mean, it's very easy. You could just ask them a question about something, and then they think everybody's trying to get over on them, because they think that everybody is like them to some degree. Like, we kind of think like people have a lot of good in them. We at least hoped that way, but they don't. So if they get offended very easily, and they're like flipping the script on you real quick, and you're like, whoa, no, chill, I didn't mean it like that. I mean, sometimes people can take a text the wrong way, but with them, man, it's like, it could be often in the beginning, especially. So it could be like, so that they take forever to get back to you. Like, you might text them and then they take several hours, like, to get back to you. And that's a devalue type tactic as well. Like, they don't, they'll take forever to get back to you sometimes, and then sometimes they'll get back to you right away. It just depends. But they'll do this on purpose to devalue you and get you used to doing things like, so when they're cheating on you and stuff, or they're with some other man or woman or whatever, they'll, and they're cheating on you down the road and stuff, you'll be used to like having them take long to get back to you. They also want you to be in a reactive type mentality, and these are places to where these things kind of bother you after a while, because generally speaking, when somebody that cares about you, they want to talk with you, right away. I mean, if they can, especially if you're their significant other and they're yours, you want to answer them in a meaningful period of time. Now, it's not going to happen all the time. I mean, for that to happen, it would be like controlling or something, but that's not the case. Generally speaking, when you're the one that you're like their number one, kind of, I like to call it, in their life, like you're their significant other, then you should be priority. So like, it should be a reasonable time. When it takes somebody like 6 hours to get back to you on a text or something, and I've talked to the narcissist that they've told me this, and that they would wait a long time so that you wouldn't think that they were thirsty for you or something like that. And they do teach stuff like this, people that teach like, how to get a woman or how to get a man, like these coaches, these stupid coaches, they'll teach you narcissistic traits, like wait 2 weeks to call them back after the first date or something like that. No, you should be just natural with it. If you want to see them, call them, text them or whatever, as long as it's the right time of day and you're not like overdoing it or, whatever. So anyway, next one would be like one-sided conversations. Like, so a narcissist, they don't want to hear too much about you. They just want to talk about, like all of what they're dealing with and how good they are and how they tried to help somebody, but they weren't listening. And, like they're a hero and how they saved somebody's life or helped them save their relationship or something at work today or something. But when it comes to you, like, if they'll want to know, like, ask you how your day went, but that's kind of generally speaking what typically people do. So they're going to say something like that, but if you take too long telling them something about your life, man, they're going to be turned off. They're going to be bored. They're going to jump to, like, shutting you down real quick because they don't have time for that. They just want to talk about themselves. So it's like one-sided conversations. And of course, like, there's no reciprocation with them. We always talk about that. Next would be, transactional. So, like, if they text you and it's only about, like, hey, you know, like, it's one thing if it could be transactional if you're doing a deal with somebody, you know, if I'm paying you for services or something like that. But if it's supposed to be your partner, then you want to be like, you don't want it to be like, yo, can you help me move? And if you're like, yo, I mean, like, or can I borrow money? And if it's not about the money or the move or something they need help with, then, like, they're gone, or they're not going to, you know, talk with you or whatever, you know. And so, like, things like that, you got to watch out for, because if it's always transactional, it's always what they can get out of it, you know, your help. And if it ain't your help, you helping them, then they don't want nothing to do with it. So you got to watch. Sometimes that'll be the case. Next would be like a gaslighting type technique. Like, in the beginning, they don't know you that well, you know, and so they're trying to, like, fish. They fish a lot in the beginning, and then they kind of form, like, small ideas and constructs of you that aren't even true. But they'll say things, and sometimes if you don't address it, then they'll make it more a reality. And then when they talk about it and continue to talk about it later, you're kind of accepting of it. Like, if they say that, oh, you're controlling, but that's okay, or that sounds a little like jealousy, but, you know, I understand, or something like that, or, you know, whatever. You don't ever want somebody to label you, and that's what they're doing. They're kind of like, these are ways of down the road may turn in part of the smear campaign, you know, where they'll say stuff like to devalue you later. They've already said it to you several times in your relationship with them, and you kind of accepted it or just, like, pushed it away, like, whatever. I mean, I'm not like that. I never heard that by anybody else, but, you know, like, whatever. It's in the beginning, you might be like, it doesn't matter to me either way, because, like, you're not really getting it, but you're still, like, you know, liking them or enticed by them or seduced by them or whatever. So you'll kind of let it slide. With the narcissist, you can't let things slide. And with anybody, you can't let things slide. And that's why you got to build your boundaries up and address people right away when you hear stuff that you disagree with. And you got to address it with, like, a firm, you know, reason why you can't allow that in your life, you know, because later on down the road, you'll be accepting of it. So yeah, that's, I think that's about it, but that's pretty much, like, you know, that's pretty much, you know, some of the things that I have, come up with. Oh, another one maybe, like, if they're, like, hard to get in contact with at certain points in time, this should be kind of obvious to you, but sometimes if you've been gaslit for a while with them and you're kind of believing the words and you notice maybe the actions don't seem to work, add up, but, you know, eventually it's like it starts to wake you up or whatever. You know, but if you can't get in contact with them, and you're their supposedly their significant other, like, oh, they'll tell you, like, oh, my phone was dead, or, you know, I couldn't get to it, or I was sleeping, or I had focus on, or, I don't know, like, stuff like that, it should be a huge red flag. I mean, or if, like, you see stuff like, the green, I forgot what that meant. The blue is like iPhone to iPhone. But if it turns green, it's like they may have you in a different type of mode or airplane mode or something. their phone may be in airplane mode, which means it will show stuff like that. Or if they got you on block temporarily, it'll show up green if it's iPhone to iPhone. So these are things like it's good to know, because a lot of people, if you're not like especially if you're not younger and you're not up on these things, then you might see these things and not know why all of a sudden it turned green and it's normally blue, or stuff like that, because I don't know, just those are things that it's good to know. Sometimes they'll say like, oh, if the wavelength is really low, it'll possibly go to like SMS and green or something like that, is what they say, I think, if you look it up. But typically that never happens unless there's other issues put into place, like they put their phone in a different mode, and that usually means they're sneaking around and they're cheating on you. And like, or they'll get back to you at a certain time. Like if you text them or call them, or text them or call them at a certain time at night and they're not answering, but they like to answer you at like 7:15 in the morning. Well, it's like, yeah, because they just got home. And a lot of times people keep this in mind. They don't want to text you or talk to you until they get back home. So if they've cheated on you, they don't want to text you while they're driving home, because they don't know what's going to come up. Like you could be like, oh, I'm at your house, and you're not here, and you're telling me you're here, or I drove by your house. But if they gotta want to feel comfortable. But that's all. One thing I wanted to say about supply though is like, also when they say like that the narcissist, they don't it's like if you were good supply and you were unique supply to them, and they can't get you back, they're just gonna hop to more supply and they don't care. Yeah, that to some degree that's true, but what I wanted to say about that is they need supply. They're addicted to supply and they need it for validation. But that doesn't mean that they want your supply more than what they have to get because they're addicted. It's kind of like, I don't do drugs and stuff, but I mean, I've watched enough movies to know that like there's like crap drugs and then there's the good drugs, like more in its purest form or something. So you got like maybe like you got like so it's kind of like this. If they can't get the good hard drug that's pure and it's like to them like awesome or whatever, they're gonna go get the crack or the crappy stuff, right? But it doesn't mean that they don't want the good shit. It's just like they can't get it and they're addicted, so they got to get it from somewhere, even if it's shitty. But that doesn't mean that they want your supply. But as an addict, they got to go get what they can. So I just wanted to mention that because I was, thinking about that, and that's kind of how things are sometimes. Anyway, y'all give me a like and a subscription, thumbs up, and stay in tall, soldier. Peace out. Love y'all.